Hello everybody, welcome back to the hardcore world. I am Kingelffe, and today we are going to be working on the giant island behind us that we built last episode. So if you haven't watched that one already, make sure you click the link in the top right hand corner and go watch that episode, because we terraformed that entire island behind us in one single episode, which took over 250 days to do. So make sure you give that a check. But let's take a quick fly over there, because I have done a little bit of pre-planning for this episode. First things first, I said last episode I was going to finish the island between episodes. I may have been slacking a little bit and decided not to in any of the spots that I didn't finish, because there's another one over there and another one over there. But yeah, I took a little bit of a break between episodes because I kind of needed it after last episode to just recharge my battery a little bit. But like I said, I did do a little bit of pre-planning over here. You can see a little bit of netherrack on the island here. So we've got 4 different buildings planned out, and we're going to build all of them in today's episode here. The first one right here is where I said I was going to be building my windmill, but I've decided to change that up a little bit. This is actually going to be a silo. So this is going to be where we store a bunch of wheat and stuff like that. We'll probably have some sort of storage inside it, but it'll mostly be for decoration. And on this hill over here, we have yet another silo. I think it'll be good to have one on each side of the island, and it'll give us a good focal point between the 2 areas here. And then in the center of the island here, where I said I was actually going to be building the silo, this is where we're going to be building our windmill. I switched it up a little bit because I want this to be the main focal point of the island, so it's going to be one of the bigger, more prominent buildings here. And also, it has more space to be built here. So I was able to expand it. We're going to have a little bit of a building going off of the windmill too, almost like it's a windmill slash house. So that's what these little jet outs here are for. And then I have the inner ring to just signify how it's going to get smaller and smaller as it goes up. That'll make more sense once I start building it. From above, it doesn't look that big, but when we land, it actually looks quite a bit bigger. This right here is the footprint for our barn. So this is where we're going to be keeping all of our animals and stuff like that. And each of these little areas here are pens where I'm going to be keeping the animals. And the 5 wide area here in the middle is going to be the hallway from the front to the back of the barn and side to side. Once again, hopefully that'll make more sense once I start building it. But our final building is over here. This is our outline for our farmhouse. And I've been pulling a bunch of inspiration from the internet, going through Pinterest and Google and other people's Minecraft builds, just deciding how I want this to look. And I have found one image that kind of sticks out to me. I think, if I remember correctly, it's actually a model off of The Sims. I'll throw it up on screen here if I remember, but this is kind of what we're going to be modeling the house after, because I think we can get some cool colors going with that. But in order to build all these buildings, we need to go resource gathering, because we don't have much other than dirt. So let's go gather a few blocks. So my original plan was to grab a little bit of wood and maybe a little bit of deep slate, but I may have gotten a little bit carried away with the resource gathering because I know what buildings I'm building here, but I don't exactly know how I want to build them or what resources I want to use. So I just grabbed a little bit of everything and, yeah, a little more wood than I expected. But hopefully this means that we won't have to go and collect wood in the middle of our building. Cross our fingers. Now, I have made a little bit of an alteration to the plans for what we're going to be building over here because I thought that this area looked a little bit too empty. I figured we could do with a few more buildings. So instead of just doing a windmill, which is now slated to be right here, and it's just going to be a windmill, we're going to build a little farming town around it. So we're going to have two little houses here, one here and one here, which is going to be connected by a bridge to either side of the road. So we could have this one here be like a little guards post or something instead of a house. And then over here, the big building is going to be a tavern/inn because, you know, every good village has a tavern or inn. But I do think that's going to help to fill the space a little bit because if it's all fields, then it's just going to look flat, like I said before. So having the village here will be good, and we might dot a few odds and ends of buildings in and around this area too, like have maybe a shed over here, maybe another one up there, maybe have a little house over in that direction somewhere. But we will figure that out as we go. Anyways, I think it's time to start actually putting some blocks down. I've been putting it off for a little while because I'm scared. I don't want to screw it up, but we got to place the first block eventually. So I brought a few shulker boxes worth of stuff over here. Let me show you what I gathered. I have a bunch of white blocks, which we're going to use for the wall. I have a bunch of wood, cobblestone, and deep slate, which we're going to use for kind of like a trim around the entire housing. And we have a ton of copper. This is actually all the copper that I have, so I really hope we don't need more. But we're going to use that for the roofs, I think. The plan may change as we go, but I'm going to start placing the blocks down and see how it comes together. Alright, we got the basic structure down for our house here. There are a few areas that I want to fix up because, for example, that area up there looks a little wonky with the trim because it doesn't line up with the bottom area. But I'm sure we'll figure something out for that area, or we'll just learn to live with it. But what I do need to figure something out for is the roof, because I do really like the copper roofs, but I feel like I need something to break up that much bronze because it looks a little out of place. So what I think I'm going to do, where did I put it? Here we go. Grab some cobbled deep slate and turn that into, we're going to try bricks first. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to replace all of the trim for the roof with these cobbled deep slate bricks, just to break up that look a little bit. There we go. I feel like that helps break the color up a little bit. So I'm going to do that with the rest of the roofs and we'll see how it looks. There we go. It's starting to look a little better with the deep slate trim around the roof. There is still something that's a little jarring to me, though. I think it's the walls. I don't really like the calcite and concrete powder I have down here. I tried something a little bit different on this wall just to see how it looked, but I think that looks much, much, much worse. I am going to try something, though, and I'm going to see if that helps the aesthetic at all. After looking at a lot of different pictures online on how some medieval houses look, I found that there is a lot of white built into them. So I wasn't that far off with my block choice. But what I did find is that the white was mostly in the upper parts of the house, and the base layer was usually some sort of stone. So I think if I were to replace this with cobblestone and maybe a little bit of mossy cobblestone, that might actually help the building out. So I'm going to replace all of the walls on the bottom layer with cobblestone and see how that looks. There we go. I actually think that helped out quite a bit. It's not just all white anymore. We have more colors and more contrast. So the last thing we really need to do to add some more detail to this building is, well, add the details. So windows, windowsills, shutters, all that kind of stuff. And that'll really bring this gray blob to life, I think. So we're going to start adding in some little bits and bobs here and there. Window here, one on the other side too. I think 2 windows right here. You know, we're actually going to make those tall windows too. another one out back here. You know what, I'm actually going to make all the windows 3 tall, or at least on the bottom layer here. And then I'm going to do a window shutter design that I saw B-dubs do. So we're going to have trapdoors like that, and then signs on the outside like this. Then we just throw the glass panes in here, and rinse repeat on all the windows. And we're going to get a little bit of extra detail going here too with some mossy cobblestone, just throwing it in every here and there, knocking out a few of the cobblestone blocks and making the building look a little bit more run down. And now I think I just need to fix up the sides of this building right here with my trapdoors like I have on the rest of the building, like so. Do something kind of like this to match up with the rest of the building's patterns. And then of course we got to do it on the other side here too. Then after we fix this little bottom part up here, I think we are pretty good. And there we go, that's one building complete minus the inside. I'm gonna do the interior on stream probably, so make sure you're following me on twitch.tv/Kingelffe. But I'm going to be adding some windows on the top portion there. I just don't know where. I want to have the floors on the inside before I work on the windows there. So for now, I'm just going to leave them as blank canvases and move on to the next building. And just like that, we have yet another building done. This is going to be our inn or tavern. Haven't decided which one it's going to be yet, but I mean, they're both basically the same thing. As you can probably tell, I went through after the time lapse and added in all the detail, like the mossy cobblestone, the windows, the shutters, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to do that with pretty much all of the buildings that I make here if I do a time lapse for them. This one behind me is the next one that I'm going to be making, and I'm not going to do a time lapse for that one. I'm just going to do it because we're probably going to be doing a bit of it on stream. So I'm just going to work on it off camera and bring you back in afterwards. So let's get another building done. The village is starting to come together. We got a pretty good view of it from over here on our starter island, and I'm really liking how it's turning out so far. And it's going to get even better once we have the windmill, I think, which is the final building for this village. So on stream and off camera, I did finish this house here. Still has a little bit of work to do on the sides here, but once again, just kind of like the guard tower over there. I want to wait until I have the second floor in before I start adding the windows up there, just so I know what level they need to be at. But like I said, there's only one building left to finish, and it is the one right behind me, the windmill, the centerpiece of our village. And rather than doing a time lapse for this one, I'm actually going to do it on camera, just in little cuts, just to show you my process behind building these buildings. Because I don't pre-make them in creative like a lot of people do. I find some inspiration online, and then I freehand it. So during the time lapses that you saw already of me working on the buildings, you probably noticed that there's a fair amount of time where I'm stepping back, looking at it, and then going back and destroying something. And that's because I don't have a plan when I go into these things. I just hope that it works out, and 90% of the time it doesn't, and then I retry until it works. And in the case of this windmill, I have a few reference pictures that I've looked at, but I don't have one that I'm actually basing this windmill off of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to base the design of this windmill off the design of these three buildings right here. So it's going to be a hybrid of all three of them built into one building here, and hopefully it'll work out. So following the same pattern as the other buildings, after the cobbled deep slate base, we want a few layers of cobblestone going upwards. I'd say let's try about 5 layers to start. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hop up 1 layer here, and we're going to get some spruce going down, I think. Just kind of like this along the edge. Right, forgot about the end blocks. Gonna have to make some log blocks, I think they're called. I don't actually know what these ones are called. What are they? Just spruce wood. Okay. They've been in the game for I don't even know how long, and I still don't even know what they're called. There we go. All connected all the way around, and then we can just go around and strip the entire thing. There we go. That's not a bad base layer. Now we're gonna bump it up 1 more and do the trapdoor trim like I did here. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's a circle. That won't work. Okay, time to go back to the drawing board. All right, let's try something a little bit different here. So obviously I'm gonna have the door here, so we'll start on this side here. But instead of having the pillars like that on the edges. Let's have it directly in the center, maybe. I feel like it needs something else. Maybe let's try knocking these corners here out and replacing them with the logs as well. There we go. That's working a little better, I think. And we know that the door is going to be right here, so we'll go ahead and knock that out right away too. Now the question is, do I want to use sandstone like these buildings here, or do I want to use calcite and concrete powder like that building over there? I only have this much calcite and it is kind of hard to come by, so I think we're going to go with sandstone, whichever chest that's in again. That's actually all the sandstone I have left. One moment. This is why you always gather more than you think you need. And yoink. There we go, we got some sandstone in hand, so what we're going to do is we're going to pop over here and miss. Take 2 on the landing. Nailed it. Okay, cool. So we're going to go up a couple more layers with the sandstone here, I think. Just following the same outline that we had below with the cobble. And with just those 2 layers there, I think I'm going to add another layer of spruce logs and strip them like I did last time. There we go, that's not looking half bad for a base layer. Now this is where we're going to start stepping it in a little bit here. We're going to bring the floor in probably about 2 layers so that there's enough to walk around on the outside here. Get off my windmill. There we go. And then from here we're going to start stepping it up another few layers. First using some spruce wood, and then continuing up with sandstone. 2 layers, 4 layers, 6 layers, and 7, before topping it off with another layer of spruce. Then I think we'll jump in 1 layer here, and we'll head up yet another 7 blocks. And of course, more spruce. Now let's take a step back and see how it looks from a distance. Not bad, not bad. Not gonna lie, looks a little like a lighthouse right now, but that will change. Now, because this is going to be the center feature of this village, I want to step it up 1 more layer of 7 blocks, just that it's basically the wizard tower of this island. So up, up, and away. There we go. In terms of height, that's much better. Now we're going to work on what actually makes this a windmill, putting the windmill blades, or whatever you want to call them, on the windmill. So I think we're going to try going out from here. Nope. There first. Might as well make sure our windmill's at least centered. Made it. So we'll have this go out 1 further than that bottom layer there. And then we're going to start branching off here. So we're going to start with a few stairs placed in strategic places. I think this one's going to go like that. And then like that. And that. And then we can start building the blades out like this. So we basically just want to hop up, place 1, hop, nope, misplace. There we go, we're back on track here. Now I should probably keep track of how many of these I do because I want it to be the same on each side. We'll try 10 on each side to begin with and we'll see how that looks. There we go, I've got all the fences in place. Now I'm going to go around and place upside down stairs on the bottoms and just normal stairs on the tops of all of these. There we go, we have some windmill blades in place. And I was going to leave it like that, but let's be honest, it's looking like a little bit of a wimpy windmill right now, isn't it? So I think we need to add a little something more to the blades. Actually, I'll mess around with that a little bit later. Right now I want to put the roof on the building, I think. Let's maybe go out a block and then start the trim. There we go, can knock out the temporary blocks now. And I think rather than having copper all the way up, I'm going to split it up with some spruce this time and see if we can't make a cool design out of it. Here you actually get to see some of that trial and error I was telling you about. Didn't really like the first shape that I had, so I'm going for a little bit of a different design now. And then I think what we do is we put a trapdoor on a flat face, and then a spruce stair, then a trapdoor, and carry that all the way up to the top. There we go, and now we just carry around the copper in all of the missing spots, and we can finish our roof. This isn't exactly working out now, is it? Alright, plan B. Now, what was plan B again? Maybe if I just do full blocks instead of stairs, maybe that'll work out a little better? That's not looking too bad, but I think it needs something to help it out. Alright, that might be as good as we get for now. I'll come back to the drawing board on the roof a little bit later. For now, I'm going to fill it out exactly like that, and we'll see how it looks when it's actually finished. I can't fly with golden carrot. Why do I keep trying to do that? There we go, that's not looking half bad now. So we just got to start adding some of the details in so that it really brings this build together. And we're going to start by extending the trim along the top of all of these layers here. And now that we have that trim in there, we can start bringing down some pillars, just like we did on the layer below, just to add some more detail to this building. And we can bring in some more details using trapdoors, as always. Just in these corners right here, we'll have to knock out the block and replace it with a stripped spruce log. That way it kind of blends in with the trapdoor. Working with circles really is a pain. That's looking a little wonky, but I might be able to make it work. Maybe instead of trapdoors, let's try some stairs. Yeah, I think the stairs look much better than the trapdoors. But speaking of trapdoors, I mean, I can't not have any on the build. And then maybe around here I throw in a window, and then throw in some shutters like we did on the other ones. I'm not sure about the windows. I'm going to take that out for now, and I'm just going to replicate this design all the way up, I think. There we go. I've replicated the design all the way around, and I've added some stairs on the tops as well, just to add a little bit of extra texture. I'm going to add something on these blank walls because they can't stay blank. They look weird, but I don't know what it's going to be yet. So for now, I'm just going to add a few more details around. Maybe add some of these at the bottom just to make it look more supported, and then I'm going to bring the mossy cobblestone into the bottom structure here, and the windmill will pretty much be done. So I may have done a little more than just the windmill for details. So let me show you what the town is looking like now. So when you're coming down the path here and you're heading around the corner, you're going to come to the entrance of this village, which is right here. And I've added a bunch of little details around just to bring the town to life a little bit. A little cart bringing in some hay, little haystacks around. It's amazing what just a tree and a bunch of flowers can do to an area too, because it just brings so much life to the area. I've added some of the wheat fields that are going to be connecting up to our larger wheat field out in that direction. And also, like I said, I've brought a tree in here as well. Also, I've switched out most of the grass for dirt, coarse dirt, and rooted dirt. That way it looks like this area has been, walked over a bunch, and it's to be expected that grass isn't going to be surviving in the well-traveled areas very well. And then, of course, as promised, I brought some mossy cobblestone over to the windmill too, which is probably the easiest thing that I did. But flying in from this direction, this town does now look complete, and some of the copper on the roof is starting to age, and we'll see if we like it better as just regular copper or aged copper. Once we have a honey farm going, we can decide where along the oxidizing process we want the roofs to be, but for now, we'll just have to, kind of leave them as are, because we don't have any bees. Also, looking in the window, you can probably tell that on stream I took care of decorating part of the inside of the tavern here. So I've got a bunch of chairs as well as a little bar here, and then on the inside here I have a kitchen for the bar. But I do believe that is all we have time for. I know that I said I was going to complete all the buildings on this island in this episode, but I also didn't intend to build an entire town. I thought I was only going to be building a windmill here. So we did still complete 4 buildings, just not the 4 that I thought we would. Anyways, thank you for watching, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!